Okay, Juliette, this is your daddy again, and it's now we're about getting caught up because now we're into 2018, just a few months ago. It's amazing we've gotten that far. This is what I call your second hate mail from your mother to me. And why is it called a hate mail? Because when January started, I called the State Board of Education, not the local school. I didn't call Dobbs Ferry. I called the State Board of Education and asked them if they had a rule about the non custodial parent having to get permission from the custodial parent about attending events at the school. And they said, no, absolutely not. And they said, call the local school board. Here's the name, here's the number. See what they have to say. So I called the local Dobbs Ferry School Board. And I talked to the woman, told her the whole story. She was very sympathetic. She understood what I was talking about. She said, absolutely not. No rule whatsoever. The only thing that could be possible if there is something in your divorce papers that stipulates that you're not allowed to. If it's not in your divorce papers, then you have every right to attend every function, PTA meeting, every basketball game or graduation, everything without your ex-wife's permission. And this is exactly contradicts what your mother said. So your mother found out, obviously from the school, that I had got a hold of your special ed teacher, Dr. Vredenberg, and she really handled it. Not even the principal. It was Dr. Vredenberg who corresponded with me, and she told me the 504 plan, which your mother had mentioned 504 at one time, but she mentioned that it was more like a BOCES program the school has, and she explained more about what was going on, and I tried to indicate to her that, I know you don't like to get into the dirty laundry of the parents of the children that go here, but you got a situation here where I haven't seen my daughter in 2 years, and I just want to make sure that if I go to a PTA meeting or if I go to her graduation, I'm not going to be hauled off and arrested. I want to make sure. She wanted me to send the papers, and I sent them. But we'll get to that. You'll see. I'll send those. I'll read you those emails too. But Lori says, I'm not sure why I'm writing you. Another interesting start to an email. Okay, she says, you really don't seem to care what I write, but rather you look for words to entrap me and ways to put me down. I guess you are still calling the school to get info on Juliette. I guess you joined the PTA. I'm not so sure of your motive to be involved, but in the school unless you want to frighten Juliette. Wow. Did I mention like what was the Arctic example of gaslighting? If maybe put this one at the head of the queue, okay? That paragraph is insane. Your mother is terrified. She's terrified about something, and she's terrified that her bubble of reality that she's living in is going to be exposed to people on the outside. And that is why I'm doing these videos. She writes, right now I'm willing to update you. She is in a strong depression. We hope the Lamisil would have a longer lasting. We have faded. We see your MD had asked about new meds. By the way, off the email, by state law, she is required to tell me all of this information. Doctors, medicine, everything. It's not, entitlement is one of the key traits of a covert narcissist. Back to the email. We see her talk therapist for strategies of daily living. Juliette has trauma she experienced with her time with you. She has low self-esteem, and she still hears the words like retarded, useless, stupid. Okay, now she's adding words I called you. She's sort of like throwing extra vegetables in the pot. Back to the email. She is hypersensitive to anger directed at her by her teachers. Oh, that's interesting. Not just me then, is it? That when she hasn't turned in assignments, even when I get angry because I drop something or make a mess, she hears it as a rage against her. She feels as if something much worse than it is. She has to be able to articulate this more. That vindicates me. If anything has vindicated me, she just did. She just vindicated me. Because she herself said that she traumatized Juliette by dropping pots. For God's sakes, Juliette, it was your anxiety, not anything I did. And anybody out there listening, listen to that. Listen to that. Back to the email. I told Juliette you'd like to help her overcome her problems and work with us as a team. She said that's ironic. She feels bad about herself after spending time with you in her teenage years. Needless to say, that's when kids are most vulnerable. So your attempts to get a reaction from her cause to internalize the negative world and actions. Can anybody hear Juliette saying that it's ironic? Come on now. This is just Lori talking. It's like Lori is speaking for Juliette. Juliette, did you say these things? Honest to God, tell me whenever you hear this. All right. Back to the email. Just so you know, I talked to her about things we did together on our travels, our careers, our time in music venues around the world. I don't harp on negative stuff. I try to get her to see good images and not all bad stuff she remembers, such as getting thrown out or whatever went on that made her choose to selective mute. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. And meanwhile, I don't care how that you deride me, call me names, blame me, because I'm the projector who maybe I'm doing that now. Well, show me an email where I derided her, called her names, blamed her. Show me. It doesn't exist. It's in her mind. But she writes, but I would like you to back off the school. Here we go. Listen to this. Listen to this, please. But I would like you to back off the school. I feel like a threat from you. If we don't feel safe, I would have to seek a new stay-away order. Juliette may not graduate on time. There's a possibility she'd take medical leave and get day treatment for depression. It's hard for me to want to share information with you, and then you pick it apart and criticize. When do I do that? I don't have any information to pick apart and criticize. If you are still getting therapy, kudos to you. If Juliette gets to a place where she's willing to talk to you, it would be celebrated, but it seems to be ways off, if not impossible. I don't always hate you. I'd like to be able to communicate better and more frequently, but you don't accept unconditional communication. You need to pick it apart and criticize so it becomes a dislike instead of like I would like to be able. Can you stop with the school interference and intimidation? I would like to be willing to update you once a week, something like that. It's a thought. Lots of snow today. What a drag. Okay. Your mother has just threatened to take me back to court because my going to a PTA meeting is a threat to you, Juliette. This is not a rational person talking. This doesn't make any sense. But it goes hand in hand with everything I have read about covert narcissism. Your mother's doing, the way your mother's talking, she needs help. She needs help because look at all this. Nothing that she wrote makes any sense whatsoever. And of course, I never wrote her back. I attend the PTA meetings, school functions. Still see my therapist, talk to him. My first one, I left the woman because she was just kind of being a cheerleader there, trying to entice Lori into the meeting. When I know Lori refused it, I went back to see him because he was a little bit better, a little smarter. I'd like to find a guy who is an expert in covert narcissism It doesn't matter because your mother can't ruin my life. Sure, I miss you, and she's responsible for it. But I'm responsible for being married to your mother and divorcing her and having a relationship with her and even having you as a child. So we're all in this together. And I hope she can find a way to find out that, to stop lying to herself. Don't lie to yourself about yourself. Tell the truth. And telling the truth is going to make you feel better. And I have told the truth through this whole sequence of emails. I think there may be one thing that I jokingly lied about, but basically the story that I tell is true. And next, what you're going to hear, it's going to be presented on iTunes, or I'm sorry, on YouTube, is the trial. But it's not going to be my trial. It's going to be somebody else's, somebody very similar to me. I'm going to tell you about their trial because I don't want to get in any legal trouble. So I won't divulge but I'll tell you about somebody else's trial that's very similar. And I'll tell you what I've done since January. It's now April. But not a word from your mother since this. No knocks on the door to have me arrested, to take me back to court. She's not going to do it. Because, for a lot of reasons, and I have that letter. Never forget about the letter I have from a person Lori's friends with or knows that says she lied in court. My God, what has your mother done? God have mercy on her soul. I love you, Juliette.